All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the Detroit Lions in today's video. Coming off your bye week, getting healthy, getting fresh. The week prior, Detroit 42 points to Seattle's 29 on primetime television. Finally, the offensive explosion that we've been waiting for, that we've seen in the last two seasons. This is still, by far to me, a top 5 football team in the National Football League. But things are about to get a little bit more interesting just because of the quality of opponents. So, for example, this upcoming Sunday, a few days from now, road matchup against the Dallas Cowboys. Don't even get me started on the Detroit Lions versus Dallas of last season because, just a prime example of a game Detroit should have won. But the quality of play, divisional opponents, Minnesota, Green Bay, you got Dallas right here. We're about to see, how good or how much this team truly does need to work on. So the big riff for Detroit 1 week ago was, you gave up, all these yards, you gave up all these points. And the way I see it, and the way I see it every single week in the first month of the season especially, is, a win is a win. A win is truly a win. You need like 5 or 6 weeks in the NFL to see teams truly break away and kind of separate themselves. Like last week, week 5, Detroit on the bye, that was kind of like the first week in the NFL this season that we've seen teams kind of blow out other teams. And Detroit, to me, has got a really nice matchup against Dallas. They do have a little bit of momentum coming off a road victory on Sunday Night Football against the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I still fully believe in this Detroit team, and a lot has to do with the offense and the defense as well. So before we get any further into tonight's video, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. It's been a while since our last Lions video. I hope you guys enjoyed that bye week, getting fresh, getting healthy. If we could try and get this video to 300 likes, folks, that would mean the absolute world to me. So Detroit's defense prior to this Seattle game was rock solid. They held opponents to 20 points in week 1, 20 points, and then 13 points in week 3. They were giving up only 17.7 points per game. That ranked in the top 10 in the NFL. The offense, however, in the first 3 games of the season was a little bit lackluster. We were waiting for them to really see a level of consistency that we've seen in the last 2 years, being a top 5 defense in back-to-back seasons. They needed overtime technically in week 1 against the Rams to get to 26 points. They only had 13 points and 20 points in weeks 2 and 3. So that's why that Seattle game, to me, is a huge indication of things to come. And we're going to talk about a couple of players that are critical for not only this week, but just the rest of the season in general. 42 points against Seattle. Jared Goff, a perfect 18 for 18, threw for 292 yards, 2 touchdowns, threw to 7 different receivers. He actually threw to 7 different receivers who had more than 40 yards or more yards, which is pretty impressive. Jared Goff actually said he has had better games, but he broke NFL history there, going 18-18. So Jared Goff finally catching his stride, this offense in general getting its stride. But, one thing I've seen for some weird reason, like this outbreak of NFL teams or just like NFL, like just, random commenters having all these nitpicks in the first month of the season. It's kind of like a glorified preseason because of the change from 4 preseason games to 3 preseason games in the regular season, going 16 to 17. So to me, it's going to take a little bit for teams to finally gel. And like I was just saying, last week, even though the Lions had a bye, was kind of the first week of the season where you saw teams kind of really separate themselves as far as, the final score, the final point total. So Detroit technically had its worst defensive game this past, or 2 weeks ago at this point, gave up 516 yards. They allowed 29 points. 2 of those were from a safety from the offense. And still, even despite that, the defense has a lot of young kids, whether it's third-year Aiden Hutchinson, whether it's Kirby Joseph. The Derek Barnes injury definitely blows. I keep seeing actually articles. I know Derek Barnes is a linebacker, but I keep seeing articles that the Lions are going to make, some type of big time trade for an opposing edge rusher outside of Aiden Hutchinson because of Marcus Davenport's injury. Just for example, the most pressures in the first 4 games of a season in the PFF era, which is 2006 to right now, Aiden Hutchinson is number 1 at 40 total pressures in the first 4 games of the season. And despite the fact that Detroit has even had a bye week, Aiden Hutchinson leads the NFL with 6.5 sacks and 14 quarterback hits. But this week, I'm not concerned about the defense, especially the secondary, man. You got rookies. Brian Branch was missing against that Seattle game. If this becomes a reoccurring theme over the next 2 to 3 weeks, yeah, we can have a discussion. But to me, this young, hungry, chip on their shoulder Lions defense is not a point of concern for me. What I want to continue to see is this offense pick up where they left off. So the offense is ranked 17th in points scored. You're coming off the bye week. But Detroit's run game, it's been one of the best in the NFL. They have a 40% successful run play rate this season. That's the third best of all 32 teams in the NFL. Jahmyr Gibbs, especially, has been effective. Before contact, he's averaging 2.1 yards per carry before even being touched. That's the second best mark in the National Football League. This Lions offensive line, getting the center back, is one of the best. It's top three to me, the Detroit Lions offensive line. Dallas run defense has not been there. They are 31st in run defense DVOA. They're 32nd in rush defense EPA through 5 weeks. They're also allowing a 37% success rate, which is 5th worst in the National Football League. Two things I want to see this upcoming weekend, or at least I would love to see, is Sam Laporta getting involved. So Sam Laporta's route involvement, 82% share, and first lead target share at 15%, marked season high in week 4 against the Seattle Seahawks. He currently is the healthiest he has been the entire season, working himself back from that ankle sprain. He had a calf injury all of training camp, and this season would emerged as clearly top 5 tight end in the NFL off a rookie season. He only has 12 catches for 147 yards. So yeah, for my fantasy team, I would love for him to get going a little bit more, but he had 4 catches. Nice game against Seattle, best game of the season. But Sam Laporta this year versus last year, it's been a lot different, and a lot of it has to do with matchups. The first 2 weeks going up against some really good tight end coverage defenses, but I want to see a breakout Sam Laporta game this upcoming week. And then finally, Tim Patrick. I was reading an article, I think it was PrideOfDetroit.com, and the headliner was Jared Goff makes bold prediction for Tim Patrick's role in the Lions offense. So Tim Patrick, this pretty much emerged as wide receiver 3 behind Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams. 2 catches, 52 yards against Seattle. Jared Goff's loving it. He had this quote, he's been a perfect fit. He's unselfish. He blocks. He cares. He's a great teammate. He's competitive. He's got great hands. He's trustworthy on his routes. As a quarterback, that's all you can ask for. So I'm expecting a big running game from Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. I'm expecting an uptick in production from Sam Laporta. And I'm also very curious to see Tim Patrick in week 5 for this Detroit Lions team against Dallas. That's probably going to be some form of shootout. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content along with weekly Lions videos. Let me know down below a score prediction for Sunday's game against Dallas. We'll see you soon. Peace.